Greetings, family. Welcome to the Grand Rising Collective. My name is Kyle Dixon, co-host, educator, and entrepreneur for 20 years. Grand Rising Collective's here is to cultivate greatness in ourselves and our community.
And my name is Kaide Bentley, co-host, educator, and entrepreneur for over 20 plus years. My contribution to Grand Rising Collective is to help cultivate that greatness in ourselves and the community through impactful discussions, seminars, and webinars with my co-host, Kyle Dixon.
You have to start off investing in yourself, because that's how you get to the people that are going to invest in you. You know, people are not just going to automatically just give you money for everything right away. So if you have to start off, hey, all right, I'm going to start off and have an event that's going to draw people in to see what it is that I'm doing. Who's going to pay for that event? Because those people don't know you yet. I can't get you to pay for an event that you don't know anything. You don't know my organization. You don't know anything about me. You know, you don't have anyone that knows what I've done. And even if they tell you, it's like, okay, show and prove. So now I got to pay for that, get all that stuff together, get you to come to see what I'm doing. Mm-hmm. And then now I can get you to invest in what I'm doing. Yeah.
Girl, so let me tell you. And then I'm telling you, see, and this is why, another reason why we created Grand Rising Collective, so that, you know, others could be privy to our conversations and our experiences, so that way they don't have to reinvent the wheel. Because one of the things that I was taught, that was told to me based on my research when I started my organization, is in the category of fiscal sponsorship, right? So to you know, work with an organization. I can't stand this. But work with an organization that's doing the same thing you're doing, right? And then y'all can compliment each other. And you know what I learned? I learned that those organizations didn't want to work with me. And the reason why they didn't want, you know, and this is, I'm seeing
now it's competition.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But this is,
and people don't realize, like, I'm not competing with you. There's so, and I always say, I cater, I do event planning, I do graphic design. I can't design all the flyers in the world. I can't cook for every event. So I'm not in competition with you. Matter of fact, if I can't do the job, I'm going to send them over to you.
Exactly. And that's one of the things that I struggle with. You know, you don't know, Stacey. You don't know. You don't know. You don't know. So that was one. And then I had to pivot my organization to be like, okay, since we cater towards education, I need to form an alliance or partnership, fiscal sponsorship with organizations that more cater to sports and recreation. So that way it'd be like, okay, you're specialized in sports and recreation. We specialize in entrepreneurship, career development, and education. And then we combine the two, and then we can.
Right.
The other thing I can't stand, Stace, is when people give you business advice and never ran a business themselves. Have you experienced that? People trying to tell you how to run your organization, yet they've never run an organization themselves. Have you experienced that? What was that?
Like, oh, really? Thanks.
That's what you do? What was... that leaves
it's like you don't even know how to answer the how to respond to them. You're like, but you never. Okay.
You know what I'm saying? The audacity. So my question to you: what were some of the what were some of the struggles or the trip ups that did you run into the course, like being advised how to run your organization? Well, I mean, before you found your board of director, before you was there a period of time before you found, you know, your mentor who was able to guide you and get your, was there experience that you had prior to that where you in how can I say, face some of these challenges where people were giving you this, they meant well, but misguided information? Did you experience any of that on your journey in starting your organization?
I think for me personally, I always take everything with a grain of salt. And I will hear what you have to say, but I'm gonna always ask questions, and I'm gonna seek out the right people that's gonna be able to answer those questions the correct way, and let them know, hey, such and such said such and such. Is that true? Like, does that even exist? And they were like, no. And I'm like, okay, it sounded kind of funny. So yeah. And that's what discernment comes in too. Like you really got to pray for discernment, because people will lead you very much astray. And if you don't have a discerning eye to really see, you know, this person may not mean me too well, or they may, like you said, it may not be a vicious thing or anything like that. They may just not know, but feel like they have to give you some type of advice. Some people feel like they have to give you advice, like have to tell you something, and whether they know or not. But I'm gonna ask some questions. If I don't ask you, I'm asking somebody else that I know will probably know.
Okay. See, my drawback was I just took things at face value. I mean, to an extent, right? I'm not that naive, right? Fine. In life and growing up in the inner cities and stuff like that, I learned the ropes that way.
Right.
Entering into the entrepreneurship field and area, I was wet behind the ears. I was a novice like you wouldn't believe. And I took that same childlike approach to entrepreneurship where I was just soak up information, and and naive as I was, I didn't know any better. You don't know what you don't know. I was just talking about that with a friend of mine today. So if you don't know what you don't know, you really don't have a baseline on which to build on. So people would give me this information, and I didn't, like I said, outside the entrepreneurship, I did have that spirit of discernment, right? I knew if it wasn't comfortable with my spirit, in general, I knew, nope, I'm good. Or, yeah, for real? Okay, thank you. But when I left, I knew I wasn't, I knew. But when it came to entrepreneurship, it was a whole different animal entirely. So that discernment I didn't incorporate. I didn't, I just took it at face value, and I put my resources into what I was advised, but I wasn't cognizant or knowledgeable enough. I was ignorant to go and double check or get a second and third opinion. For various reasons, one of which I didn't have that many resources to go to, where I had experience with or could trust to give me a second opinion. You know what I mean? Like you have a various chain of doctors, you could go to more doctors. But in my realm, I didn't have a resource that I can tap into to counteract or to cross-check what was given me. So those are the struggles that I had, which is why I felt compelled to ask that question. The other question I want to ask, particularly related to the society that we live in, and I'm not trying to, I keep it real, Stace. I'm just gonna let you know, I keep it real. I keep it real. So, what we're as being Black, right, African American in this country, we are not playing. I'm just gonna call it how I see it. I could be wrong. If I'm wrong, fine, correct me if I'm wrong. But we're not playing on a balanced level, a even playing field.
Level playing field.
A level playing field. We're not. It's just what it is. And one of the challenges that I faced in dealing with organizational leaders, I met with a lot of people, mentoring program, that whole thing.
Right.
And one of the challenges that I faced was that, how can I say, unconscious bias. You know what I mean? And the fact that I wasn't running a typical organization. My organization wasn't centered on basketball and sports and recreation.
Right.
My organization is focused on creating leaders, African American leaders, men particularly, and women who are I'm training and guiding and inspiring them to start their own business or to establish a careers where they're in leadership roles within these organizations. And that affects the economic landscape of this country that they're in. They are already threatened by the Tiger Woods that took over golf, the Michael Jordans that took over basketball, the Jackie Robinsons that took over baseball. Whatever field we enter into, we dominate because that's our core. We've just born that way. You know what I mean? So and it was okay. It's okay in that realm because these young brothers and sisters in these fields, and that's not I don't mean to forget about the Olympic athletes. What's our sister that became the fastest woman, Shaki? You know what I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about. Yes.
Her. And you have another one that just won all the gold medals, in sports and track and field. And you have a lot of my sisters who are dominating as well. So I want to make sure I don't forget my sisters, right? So whatever field we get into, we tend to dominate. But it was okay, or it's okay because it's classified in the field of entertainment, right? Just like in sports or what have you. These are athletes, but the owners of these teams are not Black. The majority of them are white. So we don't mind if you entertain us. We'll pay you money or what have you, but as long as the big money comes to us and we're making the decisions and we're making the lead. So my organization, it kind of flies right in the face of that. because I'm trying to teach these young men to establish careers that's going to affect the economic landscape of these other established organizations, or to start businesses that's going to do the same thing. So you can imagine the opposition that I face, especially me being black and in charge of this organization. Now, if I was a white face, they get funding like nothing. I got a colleague of mine who's running for office. He's like, "Hey, you've been doing this for 20 years, man." He's like, "Now, if you was another complexion, you would have been had everything you needed to do." So I said all that, Stacey, to say, have you encountered, and again, you share what you want to share if you want to share. But what, as a African American and a woman, what are some of the challenges that you faced in running your organization, if any? Have you faced any of those challenges based on, your culture, unconscious bias, discrimination, racism, anything like that?
I can't say that I've had too much within discrimination outside of my race. I've actually had some support from some people, one particular organization, but that organization is very multiracial.
Okay.
So they are very supportive of what I do as well. Unfortunately, some of the biases or the issues that I've had have been with people of my own complexion, where you would feel that we should, and it's not everyone, because I have, like I said, I have a lot of very supportive people. So it's a very small handful of people that, like I said, people feel like it's a competition.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, we're not here to fight each other. We're here to work with each other.
Mm-hmm.
And we have enough people fighting us. So
Mm-hmm.
we don't need to be fighting each other. There's enough challenges out there already for us as a people.
Mm-hmm.
And us having to deal with all of those other challenges that are out there.
Mm-hmm.
Why should we now include more of a challenge, within and amongst ourselves? To me, it makes absolutely no sense at all. And some of the and I always hear back about things and people talking. I don't ask any questions, but stuff, God don't like ugly, and he's always listening, and he's always whispering in my ear.
Amen. Amen.
And people don't think that I hear these things that they say, not even going to get into that, but it's just, it's crazy, it's weird, and it's like, let's just come together, and if we're really for the community, then we wouldn't be fighting each other. Mm-hmm. We'd be working together for a common goal. Mm-hmm. The common goal is for us to take care of our community. We've been held down, put down, and kept down for so long. We don't need to keep ourselves down, hold ourselves down, and keep on going on like this. We need to uplift each other. So I'm big on supporting my brothers and sisters, especially the ones that are doing great work. I'm big on us networking, working together so that we can fight against an unjust system, because the system isn't set up for us. We got to make our own way. So, as much as I may not have had in business anyway, not to say I haven't had any kind, because I have experience. I remember times I was just like, oh my God, because you until you experience it and you just hear about it, when you actually experience it and it's smack dab in your face, and someone's calling you out your name or talking about you a certain way, then you're just like, oh my God, this exists. This is crazy. Like, well, I never thought it would happen to me. I'm such a nice person. No, if they're racist, they're gonna be racist. It doesn't matter who you are. So I have experienced racism within business. My own personal business that I've been doing, I can't say that I've had that. And I pray to God that it does not, it doesn't manifest itself I'm pretty sure it might, because that's it. The higher you go, maybe I'm not at that level yet, but the higher you go, it's the more opposition you're gonna get, and from everyone, and it comes with the territory, and you just gotta kind of learn how to poise yourself and maneuver your way around it.
Thank you so much for that, because I'm making notes. No, I'm serious, because I'm thank you for sharing that, because that's so true. And I think for me, I started experiencing that unconscious bias or that racism outside of business when I was in college. You know what I mean? And that's when I got confronted with it, and it was a bitter pill to swallow. I got to say that. But I thank God for it, because it built me up. And then when I transitioned into business, it wasn't as a shock. It's so funny. It became something like expected, like and that's dangerous, because I'm a half glass full type personality. So one of the dangers of being successful in entrepreneurship and in any line of work is having that spirit of faith and positivity. Whereas, the statement is said, yeah, it's okay to fall down. The problem is not getting back up. And you need that ability to get back up. That's that positivism, half glass full, that gives you that energy through the Lord, of course, depending on your belief, to get back up. And that's a delicate line that I've been walking, Stacey, because I find myself going into meetings, kind of like, I guess you could say it's in the realm of, what is it? Hope for the best, but expect the worst. You know what I mean? And it has its advantage and its disadvantage. And those are the things that I found I tied also into manage expectations, right? So when I go into these meetings, first of all, what I'm learning and have been taught over the years, and I'm still learning, is to go into these meetings as prepared as possible, and doing your research, right? Based on like you said, be careful who you bring on your board of directors. Make sure they're a good fit. That ties into into the clients that I choose to partner with and things of that nature. Find out and this is what I teach young people as well. Don't just go into a job interview with your hands out. Do some research on that company. You know what I mean? Be armed with questions when you go into that company. Exactly when you select colleges. Just don't go into a college because it's a prestigious college. What majors or concentrations are these colleges? Does it line up with your skill set?
Does it fit? Right.
Does it, that kind? So these are the practices that I've learned that I'm distilling, dismantling and cascading down to young people. But I brought that up to say, in terms of the challenges that we face on this economic landscape and things of that nature, these are things that you have to be prepared for. And I'm glad to hear that you haven't faced it from the other
not so blatantly, I would say. There's always going to be the subtleties.
Yes.
And I don't even pay attention to the subtleties. I haven't had it on that like a wow in your face.
But what was interesting that I heard that you say is that you've faced more or confronted more of that from our culture. Sadly, right? And I equate that to like there was just years ago, like going to the DMV, and there'd be a person of color, the DMV behind the board, and they give you more attitude. You know what I mean? You're like, it's like what you say. We need to work together. What are you doing? I'm just here like any other customer. So, Cal and I talk about.
But I must say, even with those, like I said, it's a handful. I have way more people who are in my corner and support what I do than people that are opposed to me.
Okay.
And it's always something personal, and it may not even be me. It could be their own personal things that they have to deal with.
True.
And I can't change you. That's up to you. And I'm just going to do what I'm going to do, regardless of whether you like it or not.
There you go. All right, so I have one. I'm going to ask this one final question, and it's not even a question; it's advice, actually, right? And Stacey, thank you again so much. This has been a wonderful discussion. What solution? Kyle and I talk about this, and we like, well, what are the solutions? Because we're solution oriented, and I like data, facts, and statistics. And I look at data, facts, and statistics to see how did we get here in the first place to deal with the issue at hand and not put a Band-Aid on the problem. From your experience, and since only a handful, you experienced this challenge from a handful, and and God forbid you experience, as you continue to rise and excel and succeed, I wish you all the best. Are there any solutions from your perspective that you can suggest towards helping us as a culture work more together? Because there's some books that I've read, Dr. Joy DeGruy, the post-traumatic slave syndrome, there a couple the black tax that I read, and all these books, and there's another one, the Willie Lynch letter, the Willie Lynch syndrome, and it all talks about the trauma, and to an extent how that trauma has been ingrained in our biological system of self-defeating, where like crabs in a barrel type thing. Whereas we can't stand to see another one of our own succeed because we haven't succeeded, and so there are a lot of psychological, how can I say, traumas or triggers that prevent us as a culture from working together when it's perceived. And that's the thing too, Stacey, like it's perceived that all other cultures work together, band together, like they have Spanish Town, Korea Town, Chinatown, all this.
But when you speak to them and you hear the real, it's not as lovely as you think it is all the time.
Yo, this is amazing. So, Stacey, man, you get me off. Stop. Because I'm saying it's like, because one of the key things that I bring up also, Kyle, I talk about is there's a difference between a neighborhood and a community, right? And the neighborhood is where people of the same culture just live and reside in. But a community is one in which the stores are owned by those of your culture. The government, the local, the senates and those politicians are those of your own culture. The hospitals of those in your own culture, right? So you see communities built up of other ethnicities perceivably that way, but in ours you don't have that. In our neighborhood where we live, the stores are owned by Arabs or the Chinese stores or the alcohol stores. None of those businesses are owned by us. So I'm asking for your advice, Stacey. What advice could you give, these young people growing up and those in the community and our listeners, as to how to find a solution to that? What would you say? What would you suggest as a solution to breaking that, I guess, psychological bondage that we have in preventing each other from succeeding, not realizing we all succeed together?
That's a tough one.
I had to hit you with a hard question.
Yeah,
I had to get one to you.
That's really a tough one there. I mean, for me personally, it's just, letting people know, being very upfront, being open about your intentions and letting people know, and then backing up your intentions, because people can tell you anything, but it's what you actually do, and like I said, show and prove. So if one thing, I have a friend of mine that lives in Texas, and I had started working with him, and he was like, there's something really great about you. And I was like, what's that? He was like, you actually do what you say that you do. And I'm like, and I was just like,
don't everybody?
Doesn't everybody do this? Like, everybody doesn't do it. They don't do what they say they do. And he's like, no, people front all the time. And they say they do something, they're a graphic designer. Then you give them a project and it never gets done. Or they, I'm a caterer, but you can't cook a lick. You can't boil water. So it's like you really have to be true. Be true to yourself, and then be true to your work, and actually, work hard, put yourself in a position where people are going to respect what you do. When people respect you and respect what you do, and you actually show them like, hey, this is what I do and I do it well. And then they see that, they have a little bit more trust in what it is that you're doing. And then just it's tough because there's always, people are going to be people, and some people, no matter what you show them or what you do, they're just going to have that inherent bias against you, and they're going to think a certain way. But you don't have to work with those people. There's a million other people to work with. So if you get to the point where you've done all you can do, is that you've done all how's the song, the Donnie McClurkin song? After you've done all you can,
just stand. Just stand.
And then you leave.
Donnie McClurkin. Yeah.
Then you say, you know what? I'm gonna stand over there because I obviously it's not working for me over here. But
Ah,
you got to work with who can work with you. You know what I mean? You do what you got to do,
oh man.
and kill people with kindness. Let them know, look, I'm not your enemy. I'm not. Sometimes you got to tell people, like, I'm not your enemy. I'm not here to work against you.
Yeah.
I was at an event today. I was vending, and under the foundation, we're big about health. So, and then I cater. So we did, juices and smoothies. And then the girl right next to me, she does juices as well. So she was like, why they put us right next to each other? And I was like, yeah, probably not the best move, but I said, girl, it's fine. I said, we both gonna be, and I bought juice from her. And we had a long conversation in the kitchen after we were talking about, she works in a nursing home. My aunt has dementia. She's in a nursing home until I get her to come home. So we had a nice conversation. We exchanged information. So, and I said, look, I cater. This is not like my regular thing. I can do it, but that's not my regular thing. Like I said, there's a million other, if somebody needs a vendor for juices, I'm calling her. And I let her know, like, look, we can work together. It's not always about a competition.
Yes.
When I was in college, I had a friend of mine. She sang. She came in as an undergraduate. I think I was a sophomore. She was a freshman. And she came in, and then we would sing at like different shows at the school.
Yeah.
And someone came to me one time and was like, oh, this new girl's here and she's singing at the shows. And you how you feel about that? I was like, I called her up. I said, look, people expect us to not like each other.
Right.
Let's sing something together. So from then on, we sang at every show together. We won competitions together. We went to other schools together. So it's just getting people out of this competition mindset. Like, let's work together. And I'm letting them know I'm here to work with you. I'm here to support you just as much as I would love you to support me. And I'm going to show you. I'm not just going to talk the talk. You got to walk the walk. So if I'm going to tell you I'm going to support you, I'm going to support you. I'm going to buy your juice. I'm going to promote you. I'm going to let people know that you're doing X, Y, Z. Even if I'm doing it. If I comb here, if I do here and you do here, I'm still going to promote you because I can't do everybody's here. There's space. And once people realize there's space for everyone, everybody can make money in this world. There's enough money to go around. There's enough business to go around. I have a group of decorators, a group of bakers, a group of caterers that I call on if I can't do it. Because if I have a job that day, if I can't do it, I'm going to refer you to somebody that I trust, that I know that you can trust to get the job done. So people have to get out of that whole, competition mindset. And like I said, it's showing people that you're not that person. I'm not trying to steal your business. I'm not trying. This is who I am, and I'm here to help. And I think once people see and can, feel that they can trust you, then they can work with you and not have that feeling of, oh, she gonna steal everything I got. Just get out that mindset. Show somebody that you're gonna support them just as much as you want them to support you.
That's awesome. That's awesome. That right there, I don't think I've ever heard it phrased that way. That's fantastic, Stacey. Thank you so much. The solution, how I interpret it, is the solution is just because it's a cliche. I just work together and all that, kumbaya,
right,
like that. But it's no, it's what it is. But I like that. It's when you find that's that action step. So when you had someone saying, "Oh, she sings the same way you do," trying to create that dissension, you took it upon yourself because you had the capacity and the capability to do so. It's like the person who's aware of it is responsible to do something about it. You took it upon yourself to initiate that connection. Hey, this is being said, or was it? Yes, work together. Let me show you through action, that I'm here to support you, right? And I'm doing to you what I would like reciprocate, just teamwork or what have you. Whether you do it or not, I'm not, but I'm showing my part. W, because in the Bible it says you put coals on your enemy's head, and you put coals on your enemy's head by not right. You know what I mean? And that's the to summarize it is what God says in his word in regards to love conquers hate.
Right.
Hate can't conquer love. Love is always more powerful than hate. And that goes into like light and darkness. Light is more powerful than darkness. Light can dispel darkness.
Right.
Darkness can't dispel light. And I think the more we familiarize ourselves with that, and the more that's said and it's confessed and it's promoted, you know, and put out, I think that's when that confidence will come in and people, because it only takes one to lead by example, and then and it
Right.
catches on, right? And
Because that other person may never come to you.
right.
They may know, they may be cognizant of it, but they may never come. She may never have come to me and say, hey, let's do this together, because she didn't know how I was going to take it. But I know that I don't want to have that discourse. So you know what? I'm going to take that step and do what needs to be done.
Go ahead, Stace. That was fantastic. Okay, so we at the end. Stacey, thank you so much for being here. But before we end, what are some parting words, whatever it is, that you would like to leave with our listening audience, those who took the time out to listen and learn from you, and talk about what parting words do you have from them, whether it's in life or running a business? What final words would you like to leave with them? And then after that, leave your social media handles where they can reach you, you know, your organization, your foundation. Please share that with us.
Well, with my business or my organization, you know, the main thing that I do is giving back and just being good to people, because it's rough out here. It's rough out here in these streets. And mental health is a real thing.
Yes, it is.
There's so many people walking around with so many different issues. I have people that have come to events that I've had that, you know, I had a young lady that didn't come to my last event because she's dealing with some stuff. She's doing better now, but, you know, I called her, was like, you know, is everything okay? What's going on? Keeping up with the people that, you know, may be going through something. Because sometimes we forget, we get so involved in ourselves. We get so, you know, overwhelmed with everything that, you know, just me. But there's a whole world out there of other people that we love, we say we love and we care about. You know, we got to be aware that people are going, there's so many people that there's an event that I do called the Purple and Platinum, and women that have all different types of challenges that they, whether it be cancer, domestic violence, homelessness, any other diseases, anything that they've gone through, they're able to come together and tell their stories. And when I tell you some of the stories that some of these women have come back and told, it puts your life into a whole different perspective. And you're like, sometimes I sit there, I'm just like, I ain't been through nothing
right.
compared to what these women have been through. And we kind of got to walk through life like that. Like, everything's temporary. You can't pay your bills today. If you're working, the money's coming another time. It's temporary. You're not feeling too good today. It's temporary. You're gonna feel better later. We can't sit and just, you know, forget about people that really truly need it. Everybody out there needs somebody. And we need to just be cognizant of the people that are walking around, especially, you know, mental health issues, people that are depressed, especially in a time like since COVID happened. It's just like, you know, isolation, depression. It's a lot of stuff going on. And there's a lot of people that are dealing with a lot of stuff. So you can't, you know, we're quick to get an attitude and, you know, just feel a certain way if somebody talks to us a certain way. No. Think about what that person might have went through before they came through their door that morning. You know, they may be a domestic violence survivor. They may be somebody that, you know, they couldn't feed their kids that morning. They couldn't give them the proper breakfast to go to school. So now the kids are at school. Even the kids, I've worked with kids at school that come to school, they don't eat a good meal at home. So they're depending on that food at the school. While we're there complaining, you know, I don't know what I want to have for lunch today. You have a choice. You know, they got to eat that little, we used to call them murder, you know, joke around, murder burgers, suicide fried. That's all they got to eat, you know, and they're thriving off of that. So realize that you're blessed. Every day above ground is a day that we are blessed. Every day that we are breathing in breath, we are blessed.
Mm-hmm.
And we just have to continue to realize how blessed we are, and then be a blessing to those that truly need it. And there's so many people out there that need it.
Thank you.
That's the last word I
got. Thank you.
Be a blessing. Be a blessing. If nothing else, be a blessing.
Fantastic. How can they reach you, Stace? What are your social?
You can reach me on social media. Instagram is the Bonello, B as in boy, O-N as in Nancy, E-L-L-O Foundation, the Bonello Foundation. That's on IG, also on Facebook, the Bonello Foundation. And my email is thebonellofoundation@gmail.com. Branding.
That's the key.
Yes. And you can also on IG, if you I do cakes and cater, Chef Bonello. So everything Bonello.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Well, family, there you got it. You heard it from Stacey. We had a great conversation. I learned a lot in this conversation. It was very inspirational for me, especially when you shared, you shared a lot of gems, but the recent gem that you just left is, and I term it as being a blessing to others, right? But at the same time, being very cognizant of mental health. Because sometimes, unfortunately, like you said, especially after COVID, we live in a world where, you have givers and you have takers. And I think it's key to be able to don't change who you are, right? Just be able to manage it, and be able to, it's prayer, it's discernment, like you said as well, but being able to be a blessing to others while at the same time taking care of your mental health. And and there's a key word in scripture that says, God blesses us to the point where we could give from our overflow. So that means that extra that we have is that God gives us, that's what we can use to bless others while we stay fulfilled. Because final note in summary, Stacey, is you can't bless somebody else if you yourself is not well.
Right.
And I'm learning,
like you said, it's the overflow. So that means you weren't empty. You were full and running over, and that running over is what's used to bless. Yes, so definitely got to take care of yourself. Absolutely.
Definitely. So thank you, Stacey. That's us here at the Grand Rising Collective. You know how Cal does. Like, share, subscribe. You know how he does all that. We like the kind that jiggles, and we prefer to put that bass. I don't know what it is, but that's what Cal does. But I think it's I love these conversations and getting to know the guests that we have on. Stacey, again, thank you so much. Usually after these conversations, I'm so overflowed, and it's just a great feeling, because like you said, in this world we live in today, there's so much anger, there's so much confusion, there's so much frustration. When you're able to meet people who are genuine and have that kind heart and that humble heart, it's so refreshing. So Stacey, thank you so much for being here. We're going to do we usually do our 3, 2, 1, Stace 3, 2, 1 and sign off. So we're going to do 3, 2, 1, peace. All right. So, and Cal, I'm going to end that. We got to find a new ending. But anyway, 3, 2, 1, peace.